Greetings and welcome to today's preview, which is 3 games long. So there's only 3 games tonight. Not a whole lot to discuss here, and no book because I'm not doing timestamps because it's only 3 games. Short video. Calgary, 32-25-10. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10, and Rittich is starting tonight. They're in Buffalo. Buffalo's 21-34-11. 5-4-1 in their last 10. Johnson starting for them tonight. Buffalo's playing spoiler. Calgary sits currently, I believe, 3 points out of the playoffs, and they have to win this game. There really isn't any way around it. It's a game that if the Flames don't win it, I think they're in deep trouble. And they're already there, because some of the teams that are ahead of them aren't cooling off, and they definitely have. And I'm not sure what the Flames can do to fix it. It obviously has to be in-house because the trade deadline's passed, but there's some stuff here that needs to get fixed. And Mike Smith took to the ice yesterday, but there's still no timetable for his return. But there was no warning he was actually going to be back practicing either, so they're keeping everything tight-lipped right now. We may end up in a Corey Crawford type situation where he's out for too long and there's no point in bringing him back because the team has already fallen too far out of the playoffs. And for Buffalo, spoiler month continues, and we'll see whether or not they can get their 22nd win tonight. They are trying to stay as far ahead of Arizona as possible. Pittsburgh, 38-25-4. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Jari's starting for them. They're in Philly. Philly's 34-21-11, 6-2-2 in their last 10, and Mrazek starting for them. The big game here. This is the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Flyers at home against Pittsburgh. I'm sure there are better rivalries. I'm sure there are more fun games to watch. But Jari and Mrazek may make it very interesting. Mrazek hasn't impressed me over the last week. He was decent for them at the start. It was funny because I read a couple of reports saying he'd been fantastic his first few games in Philly. He wasn't fantastic. He was just better than expected. And now over the last week, his stats have started kind of looking a little more pedestrian. And for Pittsburgh, they're dealing with, of course, the loss of their starting goaltender as well. There's a lot of goalies out, aren't there? Kind of surprising. And I don't know if that's being overworked, conditioning, just that time of year. But yeah, there are a lot of goalies out. Philly needs to win this game. If Philly can win this game and get themselves further into a better spot, they don't want to fall into one of those wild card spots, is what I'm saying. I don't think you want to play Tampa in the first round, and then, of course, they lose to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh could end up getting first. Pittsburgh sits 1 point back of Washington, and they lost last night. For Philly, Philly's got 79 points, so they're 2 points behind Washington. So if Philly wins this one in regulation, then they are in a tie for first place with Washington. If they win it in overtime, all 3 teams are in a tie for first place in the Metro. How much fun is that? Arizona, 20-34-11, 7-2-1 in their last 10. Darcy Kemper's probably the starter. They're in Vancouver against the 25-32-9 Canucks, who are 3-4-3 in their last 10. Markstrom's probably the starter. I don't think it necessarily matters right now, and I've said that before. It's a battle of misery tonight in Vancouver. I saw somebody sent me that tickets were starting at like $16 for this game, which doesn't surprise me because, honest question, how many people are going to be like really anxious to see this game? Besser's injured for the Canucks, so that takes some of the fun out of that. Berchi's probably out for the rest of the year as well. That's 2 of the Canucks' top line right there. So you're left with Horvat on that top line and then a bunch of other players who may or may not be here next year. And they're welcoming the Arizona Coyotes, who right now sit with 51 points in the NHL and at the bottom of the league. So it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell even in Vancouver, where we've had some games that fans haven't been too excited about. Some news. David Backes is to have a hearing today for a hit on Franz Nielsen. As soon as I saw it, I was like, well, that was dirty. Yvonne saw it. Yvonne said it was dirty as well. And meanwhile, the NESN commentators, you gotta love Andy Brickley. Because Brickley looks at the play, which is clearly dirty. He's like, yeah, I guess it's a little bit late. I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's not that bad, though. I guess that's the penalty? I don't know. I guess so. And it's like, dude, come on. Come on now. That was clearly, it was interference. It was a penalty, and it was a dirty hit. So I don't know if Backus is going to get suspended, but he could, and I don't I won't be upset with the league if he does. Pavel Zacha got hurt last night. Riley Smith got hurt last night, and Mark Scheifele's to be reevaluated today. A lot of injuries going on right now, not just goalies, I guess. Simmons is returning to the lineup tonight for Philly. And Ronta is day-to-day. That's why Kemper's probably the starter for the Coyotes, because Ronta's out. In all likelihood. They haven't confirmed he's not playing tonight, but in all likelihood he probably doesn't. Another interesting storyline is with the injuries to Besser and McAvoy, who would have been two of the probably top 5, I'll say top 4 or 5 Rookie of the Year candidates. What it does is it means that you got 2 guys who are looking at potential Rookie of the Year. Barzal, 67 games, 18 goals, 51 assists, 69 points. Or Yanni Gourde is now the number 2 guy in my eyes. 67 games, 24 goals, 29 assists, 53 points. And I know Gourde sits 16 points back. He's got 6 more goals. You could argue Gourde plays on a better team, but you could argue Barzal's had better line mates. I always see those arguments anyways, but I do think it's Barzal's. I can't see anybody knocking him down off that pedestal he's on right now for that award. I think Barzal's legitimately looking like a guy who could be 100 points per year for at least 2 or 3 years. You don't see very many guys getting 100 points a year every year, but I could see him getting 200 or 300 point seasons, and I could see 80 of those points being assists. I could see him putting up the kind of numbers that Joe Thornton and Henrik Sedin did in their primes. And the scary thing is Barzal's already doing it his rookie year, which neither Sedin nor Thornton did in their rookie years. But yeah, so there you go. There's today's previews. There's today's sort of news of the day. Of course, it's a back fracture for Besser. He's gone 4 to 6 weeks. So end of the year, his year's over, and it's an MCL sprain for McAvoy, and his year's over for the regular season. And of course, if McAvoy comes back for the playoffs and he's healthy, that doesn't matter for Calder Trophy voting. That gets done before the playoffs. So there you go. Today's stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And thank you guys so much for watching. Getting close to 31,000 subscribers, which is kind of sort of amazing and awesome. And I thank each and every one of you. And I'll talk to you again soon.